Sit up straight. Spine tall. Buttocks down, shoulders down, arms down. Joint your palms. Close your eyes. Draw your attention in. Normalize the breath. That is, connect the breath to all the various parts, compartments, regions, pelvic, abdominal, chest, throat, head, spine. These are the principal compartments, but there's all kinds of other compartments, you might say. There is each lung compartment. There's the heart compartment, liver, stomach compartment. There's the eye compartment, ear, mouth, sinuses, many compartments. Each one should have contact with breath. Make the borders between these compartments transparent. In this way, pay homage to this practice and to that root teacher, Patanjali. Bow your head. Release your hands. Raise your head. Open your eyes. Let's start with the usual kind of combination of poses, that is to say, Virasana, Adho Mukha Virasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, going toward Ardha Uttanasana, and then full Uttanasana. But I would like you to have a prop or two. You want a blanket in addition to whatever you might usually use under your shins or buttocks. You need, for what we're doing, an additional strap and an additional blanket, and you'll probably need 2 bricks for the Ardha Uttanasana part. So something like this to start with. And if you have knee problems or ankle problems, the extra blankets you require for that, you are already, add them. Okay, so Virasana. With a strap. That strap goes under the toe, or it goes, over the knees, this big loop. You just raise up the knee and strap yourself together, right? The easy way. There is the other easy way. You put it over your head and then under your toes, and tighten it. yet not super well. If you're comfy, tighten it moderately firmly. Keep the buckle off your skin. Now, again, that strap doesn't want to be under the top of your foot just yet. Bring it back toward the toes and spread the toes. Okay, so from here, stretch up briefly. Strap not too firm, but it's a reminder. Now, some of you, the strap needs to be right at the crease of the front thigh, right there. So when you fold over, it'll get enfolded right in that hip socket. Stretch your arms up. Spread your toes and press them against the strap downward. Try to flatten that strap. You won't feel it much, you'll feel it a little. Stretch up. Then you go forward. As you go forward, this strap has to be loose enough to let you go forward, tight enough that it keeps these muscles of the crease relaxing, softening. Outer hip muscles, this tight spot right where I'm pointing at the outer hip should feel pulled by that strap as you come forward. Knees apart. Knees apart, toes together. The strap can't be too tight, or you come forward. Strap to the toes, Karen. Strap to the toes. I'm glad you figured it out. So there should be a pleasant or pleasantly intense, I don't know, release of the hips, both the outer part of that crease, which may feel particularly strong, but also let go the inner hip socket. Let go, let go, let go. Lengthen the trunk away from the depth of that fold. Now, I hope this feels pleasant to you. For many people, it's quite soothing in the hips, sacrum, low back. Breathe. And then come up carefully, loosen that strap, and keep things kind of quiet there as you come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Open those knees very symmetrically, like don't raise one hip then the other. See if you can rise up off both knees same time and stretch the inner and the outer knees equally. So there's a memory of that tug on the top thigh, hip, top outer thigh. See if you can recreate that movement of the thigh bone. Stretch it from the foot to the hip. It's a straight leg now. And right where that strap was, move your own thigh, same direction that the belt was tugging, up and back. Release the trunk forward from that. Good. Now, walk the feet forward to half Uttanasana. This is where the bricks will be used underneath those arms. So by half, I mean stay on tall bricks. Tall bricks. Straight legs, vertical arms. So there is still an imaginary strap at this top thigh. Come out. Take your two bricks. Take your sticky mat, pull it right up to a wall. Get your bricks and a chair. I'm gonna change this camera just a little bit. And you put these two bricks wide apart at the wall, as wide as the front chair legs. You see, your front chair legs should brace against them. So my two bricks, go against the wall, that distance, chair distance. Then I get that chair and watch, it folds. It unfolds toward the wall, folds up like that and braces. So when I push down on it, it's folding, staying folded. This is where you place the blanket on top as a pad. So chair folded up. And those two front chair legs, you can push them against those bricks and they don't go anywhere. So here's your half Uttanasana. Just below the pubis, right where that strap was, press the chair against that top thigh, wiggle your feet back, press against, put yourself at the angle where you can push that top thigh and release the length of the trunk. The feet will wiggle back slightly. If you see this, not vertical, so you get a good lean and you go forward. Not to full Uttanasana. You see, I'm still pretty horizontal. Some of you need to come higher up with the arms so that you can make that trunk long. Open the waist, open the pelvis. If you come up higher, you can push the brick more firmly against that top thigh. This is where the blanket padding can help your hands. Lengthen your ribs, waist forward. Then go down, go out, go down. I'm gonna watch for a second. Keep your heels down. Keep that pressure not on the belly, but instead on the thigh. Extend that trunk forward. You're using that chair like you were using the strap at the very beginning. Lift the navel cairn slightly. Cairn Laplace. Lift the sacrum, yes. And then see if you can maintain that and extend the middle ribs. Kind of don't use the low ribs to move your sternum forward. All right. Begin to come up, walk up that chair, keep your heels down. Then stand up. I hope that was lovely. Okay, so for a moment, let's stand in Tadasana. Now, you just had this against your front thigh, folding over. If you turn around, for most of us, this chair is very close to the buttocks, maybe on the buttocks. Some taller among us will have the top hamstring on that chair. Me, I don't. I kind of have my lower buttock flesh on the chair. So I'm lucky to have these little foam bricks. And if you see closely, the cat really likes them. But what they do is they raise the floor slightly, just slightly, so that my backside is definitely touching that chair within an inch or so of my buttocks. Now, if you don't have just the right height, you could fold a sticky mat. But I'm going to say the squishier the support, the less helpful. So don't put your heels back and the hips forward. Take a look and put your heel right underneath, right? And then hold the chair with the hands and move your inner thighs toward that chair. Feet slightly apart, as firm as you can be, absolutely vertical. Hold the chair with your hands, pulling it as I show, pulling it forward so that you can resist back with those thighs. Once you make contact, stand on the heel. The inner thigh goes back. The outer thigh goes back. Stand. Keep that contact. Lift the pubis, front pelvis. Lift without moving your hamstring away from the chair. You can use your fingers to guide the front hip. You can take the hands on the skin of the abdomen and lift it. The thigh stays anchored to the chair, and that front pelvis opens. Okay. Anything happening? Okay. Good. Come out. You get to do it one more time and normalize the breath. And if your balance is good, I do see some people on pretty soft surfaces, and you know, I understand extremely disrespectful to use books to stand upon books. But if you can find a book that is like worthy of not respect, like Harlequin romances and I don't know, things like that, you find a firm surface, it works better. Not today, but in the future. I used to work with old phone books, which are just recycled. Instead of recycling, I would wrap them in tape so they would act like blocks. Now, repeat this, climb into the, it's very hard to do a forward bend. Now, topmost back thigh to the brick, legs vertical, heels stretch down so that leg is holding its place. Inner thighs parallel, going back to that chair. Outer thighs adding support. Stand straight. You're not going forward, you're going up. Lift that front pelvis, take your arms overhead. Urdhva Hastasana. Make yourself as long as possible. Back thighs stretching down. Pubis, front spine coming up. Interlock those fingers, stretch up. Roll your buttocks down to the chair seat, keeping your thighs on it. Roll the buttock muscle down onto the chair seat, chair back. Release, come out. Now, chair aside, but you still want this blanket and a brick, one on each side, standing post type setup. Now, sorry, first pose is Vrikshasana, which we've been doing lately. And you know, if you were of a mind, you could do Vrikshasana this way, keeping that standing thigh on the back of the chair seat the whole time. Which is interesting. This leg likes to slosh forward. It likes to, you know, rebalance itself differently, but coming and standing back, using that chair as your guidepost. And see, your hands can also attach to it for balance. Keep that standing thigh back. Move with the inner thigh to stand on the heel, and then take that outer top back thigh, right where the strap was pulling, this outer part, take that thigh bone into the socket. Vrikshasana, Karen, unless your screen's frozen. So the bent leg in Vrikshasana also, right leg, that bent leg in Vrikshasana also has to have that deep release of the inner and the outer thigh. Standing leg back to the chair, inner and outer thigh. Lifted leg, pubis up, buttocks, flesh rolling down, both buttocks. So you have to make this lifted leg buttock come down to the chair. Those who don't have a chair, it's got to come level. The chair is very helpful with level. Come out, change sides. Don't use a squishy thing under your foot for this. Not advisable. Move that standing thigh back, inner thigh, right where the foot is attached. That's got to go back. So the outer thigh, so you are evenly in contact with that chair. Assuming the chair is straight and parallel. Then you do a similar thing with this thigh. Lots of space, groin release, outer thigh tucks down. The buttocks roll to the chair. And the front spine comes up. Take your arms up if things are going well. And release, come out. Good. Now comes the blanket. So watch this. And I suppose I'm going to bring this closer so you see. And I'm going to show two sides. Oh. Take a blanket and roll it loosely. More flexible people, I'm just going to say, you're not going to know who you are till you get in the pose. But if this roll turns out to be too big, just fold it. But everybody needs something, okay? Now you've got a long side to this, okay? So here's me going toward my right side. This blanket, sorry, I'll go this way. This blanket hangs mostly over the outside, partly on the inside, mostly on the outside. It's right at the crease. So when I sit, do you see it? It goes down. Okay. Now, just keep watching for a second, because there's a couple of steps. You don't want to get stuck not being able to see. This hand, back hand, comes around. It can catch this free flap of blanket. Okay. So as I come into Parshva Konasana, my back hand catches any part of that blanket it can and drags it down. I didn't bring a brick, so I'm catching my shin, but you go to a brick. Now, just so you see it from the backside, with a brick in front. I come into the pose. This is fitting into that space. So if it's a roll, it's got to fit so it feels like it is pulling on that top thigh. Pull it. You go. Give it a try. You can face sideways, give a good flap of blanket off the backside of it and roll it thin or thick according to your flexibility. March a wider stance. Lengthen that back. That's right. Catch that blanket. Lean on your knee at first with the elbow. And the two things pulling that blanket does is it rolls your chest one way and it rolls your buttock the other. Drag that buttock, lift your chest away. Take your hand to a tall, medium brick on the instep side, inside. Yes. So you can actually get, you feel it, much more freedom in the ribs coming away from that buttock. Now come out carefully. Change sides. So I'm going to face away so I do both sides. The idea of this spacer here is the same as that strap. You press, taking that thigh down. That actually bizarrely can help strengthen or release, make more stable this pose. It actually makes my quad muscles work less, oddly. Then you come out, catch with the other hand wherever you can. And you start dragging. So that roll is caught against the flesh. You've made it thick enough so when you pull it, it's dragging muscle, hopefully in a pleasant direction. And you can lift your chest away from that and open. Yeah, keep trying to move that left buttock backwards away from your head. And then slowly come out. Okay. This could also be done with the strap. The strap is just very pointy about the hip socket. This blanket, as you see, as you feel, it sort of drags a whole region around, right? It's a much broader, it moves flesh, it moves skin, it moves muscle. It's a broad support if you got the right size. Okay. Still need your blanket. I'm not sure if this group has done this week, but we're going to do it twice in case we did, because I'm on forward bends. And this is helpful. You have a blanket folded as it would be for headstand or shoulder stand. And you got a sticky mat rolled out full length. You put your blanket at one end and just at that folding, right? You roll it up in your sticky mat and roll it all the way. All the way. And if your blankets are thin and your sticky mat is thin, make it thicker with an extra blanket, but you need some height in this roll. All right. And you have 2 bricks. I'll back up the camera so I don't have to crouch so much. Here I am, Tadasana. Here I go to Uttanasana on these two bricks. Then from those bricks, I stand with the heel to arch and the base joints on top of the rolled sticky mat blanket combination. And right from the get-go, I got to show you this way so you see it. I have to be conscious of what the foot is doing. It is extremely tempting to roll onto the inner foot. Okay, so balance things out. Make sure you're on the base joints, the toes, and the ankle is centered. Then what you're going to do is roll. Keep your balance vertical. You see it from the front. You're going to roll so your toes come down and the heels are still quite high on top. Go ahead, you can do this now. Fold forward first, then bring your feet up. Fold to Uttanasana, take your hands on bricks, then step your feet up. Go higher, the whole sticky mat should roll up. The entire sticky mat should roll up. And go forward onto your straight legs. Walk the bricks forward, keep your heels pressing. So do you see, it's some of you that your roll is not very thick. Okay, now roll to the top of the blanket, sticky mat combination, and then take your heels down. Move your bricks forward, counterbalance sufficiently. Roll very slowly, don't immediately like drop back. Keep the leg straight, stretch the heel. Now, if your sticky mat is very small, again, those heels quickly go to the floor. If your sticky mat's about the right height, your heels probably can't quite get to the floor. Now, that looks big, Karen, but keep tall bricks around. You've got plenty of room there to work. That looks slightly bigger than usual, but great. Make sure the heel stays down on that. Now everybody else roll forward again onto the toes. And see how that ankle and top of the foot stretches, how the shin gets longer as those toes reach for the floor. On a really high brick, the toes don't quite make, really high roll. The toes don't quite make it on a just right roll. They touch on a almost high roll. The toes bend, but you can still totally reach through those metatarsals. And roll back to the heel again. And when you roll, do you notice that length of the front leg goes all the way up to the hip? As you take the heel back, how much of that front hip depth can you make? Now, if your balance is unstable, Karen, oh, it's not. Okay. So in theory, you do this 3 times slowly. So some of you have been going at a slightly different pace. And now keep those legs straight all the time. All that length in the front leg you got when in the first part, use it and keep it as you take the heel back. And now back to center and carefully step out. And stand up. Okay. one last effort here. Bricks, Uttanasana. Only put the base joints up on this roll. Take the heel to the floor. The heel's got to come down. Do you see this on this foot? Okay. So you can be farther back to take less of an angle, but you always have to have the base joints of the toes, the base joints have to be on the floor, not just the toes, but the base joints. Not the floor, the roll. Base joints on the roll. Don't just bend your toes up. Okay, so Uttanasana, heels down. Now, if you can, you go to the floor. If you can take full extension and go down, do this. If you can hold on to this blanket roll and draw yourself deeper in, please do. There's a long way to go. Don't exceed your capacity. Keep your legs straight, keep your heels down, keep your ankles balanced. Some of you are just where you're lowering the bricks. This is perfectly fine. Keep your legs straight. Awareness of position is better than awareness of ambition. Pay attention to where you are. It's a big pose. Examine those front hips. I spent some time trying to keep them open. Don't close them up now. Now, step off that blanket, feet flat, and stand up. Full on Tadasana. Okay, so go back and remember that chair and move those inner thighs to the imaginary chair. Move the outer thigh as well. Roll your buttocks down to the chair, picking the front spine up. Try to blend that action. Blend it. So you're standing and it's connected to your chest. Normalize the breath. Connect it to pelvis, abdomen, chest, throat, head, spine, joints, organs, every compartment. Okay. Now, something like headstand or preparation for headstand. So let's say you're doing headstand. If you are going up, you're gonna go up first, practicing lifting. Beg pardon. Everybody is going to practice this, and the ones going up will go up afterwards. The ones who are practicing will take a rest and practice again. So you can work with a brick if these shoulders are in training. When you hold a brick like this, it's easier to sort of control the action of the forearms, the elbows, shoulders. So you progress from that to this pose, being able to keep the hands open and not. Abhijata Iyengar says when you squeeze these hands, she says, this is nothing but fear. It's nothing but fear causing those fingers to clench. There's a worry in there. So this brick is going to give some stability and help you sort of resolve the worry before you go farther. Anyway, everybody, and I would say, I don't know if it's out and out fear, but there's definitely some uncertainty in that hand clench. So you got to get more confident and clear of the pose before you try going up. Okay, we're on forward bends, so keep that in mind. Press your forearms, keep your elbows in. Lift up through those hips. Those hips, like the strap is in there, the blanket is in there. Remember all that groin depth. Go to straighten the legs, lifting the groins as high as you can. And then as you stretch one leg up, that hamstring is both hamstrings are going to the chair. Both hamstrings are going to two different chairs. And you stretch the leg from there. Okay, so this is true in the preparation and it's true in headstand. Okay, so everybody practicing, come up off the knees, through the groins. Do the practice, everybody. Lift those shoulder blades. Do not roll your back to the wall. Lift up. Now, raise a leg. Some of you are going already. Don't try to go up. Practice raising the leg. Now move those back thighs to an imaginary chair. You've got to get length in those groins and hips. Stretch the lifted leg. Come out, rest. This is tiring. That lifted leg is bending for many of you. And that means that, you have to compare this experience to your experience in that Tadasana, standing with your heel on the floor and the leg going to that chair back there. How sturdy and straight, what did the leg feel like there? Now, when you take side two, you have to have that same sense of there being a floor underneath this foot. You got to push to a floor. Extend through the middle, open that back thigh. You have to generate the sensation that you did standing. Go, side two. Don't place the head. Just place the arms, keep the elbows in. Stretch that leg. Lift your shoulders. Straighten the leg. Get both back thighs on the imaginary chair. Inner thighs first, outer thighs second. Stretch the leg straight. Push the heel into an imaginary floor. Come out, rest. Now, if you will take Shirshasana, be very careful. You must keep those shoulders lifted. I'll work. You must keep those shoulders lifted. You can see this from the side. Do not roll your back toward the wall. Keep your back lifted. So when you go up toward Shirshasana, your spine stays vertical. Don't push into the wall. We have props that can help with this, but you need something like 4 bricks to make a little structure that can talk to your back. Now lift those shoulders, press the forearms, lift the shoulders. And with a straight leg, swing or rise up. Pressing the forearms, lift the shoulders, stretch your legs up to the ceiling. So when you go up next time, see if you can kick with the other leg. As long as you've got two tries there, see if the other leg has any idea. Mm-hmm. That was actually pretty good there. Swing just harder, be more forceful. Swing. Whoop. Yep. Press the forearms. Now, once you're up, keep those forearms, shoulder blades lifting, make a long neck. Think of your skull here as a compartment that has to be decompressed. Neck, not compressed. No compression. The eyes, not compressed. Mouth, sinuses. Now, also important is the brain case, brain compartment, and those two hemispheres of the brain. For those whose heads are on the floor in contact with something, the left and right side of the brain should be equally at rest on the floor. So you don't want to try to retract your brain from headstand. Which means for Marcia, putting just enough blankets under that feet up device to make contact with the skull can be extremely useful. You put too much, it defeats the purpose, but you put just enough, it gives you a great deal of stability there. Please come out of Shirshasana. Carefully lift your shoulders. Watch those groins. Once down, rest your head. Once your head has rested, sit up and get 2 blankets. And I'm setting mine up so that you can see me from the front and the side. Those of you who have met Ruby, she's sitting just underneath the computer where that lamp is. I finally found a way. I put a little bed there for her. Now she's famous on the internet. So you're going to sit on, I'm facing sideways, but I've got this set up so I can also face you. So there, you get different views. If you want to do the same, that's great, but don't worry. Face me one way or the other. Watch Marchasana 1. You want, I will show from the side. You want to bend up this right knee and bring the heel as close in to its own buttock. So don't bring the heel to the midline. Bring it a little bit wide toward its own buttock. Okay, that's quite important. So do keep that. Now, what you can do is take the toe end of the foot, take the toe end of the foot and turn it in slightly, but the heel stays out. Okay, now you have to figure out how to sit back down on that buttock because it's not as heavy as the straight leg buttock. So pull your shin bone back and sit on that buttock. And then stretch your trunk up, stretch the ribs up, come forward and wrap around that chin from the front. Now you're off the buttock bone again. So push with this arm and sit back down on that buttock. Now I'm looking at some of you, this heel has, I guess I don't need that second blanket, that heel is jumping in. Just pick it up, move it out. Move that heel out and stand on the inner part of that heel. And push back so you're sitting on the buttock bone. Push back so you sit on that buttock bone. Come any amount forward, sitting on that buttock bone. It's very easy to just roll off it. Do you see me rolling off it? Okay, don't roll off it. Sit. Push on the inner heel. Big toe base joint. Sit. Come up. Stretch that leg straight. Dandasana. Let that top thigh go. Hopefully it does. Bend up that right knee. Fold it up. Bring the heel to the outer part of the hip. Let your toes turn in slightly and roll to the inner heel, big toe base joint side. Don't let things get sloshed out. Roll in. Pull on the shin to sit on that buttock bone. Stay on the inner heel. Sit. On my left foot, maybe you can see this, my toes are always coming up. That's my personal problem. That is not an instruction. Keep your toes down. Now, you got to stretch up very long, lean away from this, open that ankle and come forward and wrap your armpit around the front of the shin. Get back on the inner foot, inner heel, and push with that upper arm to roll back down on the buttock. Get onto that buttock and adjust some more and see if your trunk can come forward and you stay seated. And your straight leg, your Dandasana leg, just stays in Dandasana. Show me your toes. Any amount, no ambition, but be awareness, be awareness of your position and condition. Come on. Sit up, stretch both legs. So that's like most of the forward bend of Marichyasana 1. Let's come back into the first side of that. And I'm gonna look, there are various ways of making this a compact pose, and the compaction helps. you bring this foot in, hold it with your hand, put your foot where you need it to be, then sit closer, right? You want to absolutely close this seam between your calf and your buttock. You want that strap to be there again, right? Hang on to that idea there. Come up, go forward, catch your foot. Now, you don't have the forearm and elbow leverage right now. You have to do that shin movement, that sitting back down on buttock movement. You have to do it with your own shin and hip, no arm help. Sit back, keep sitting, push with your foot. Inner heel, big toe base joint, have a look, check, see if you're rolling, feel and see if you're rolling to the outer foot. Move your heel out if it's slipping in. Go forward. Sit back down. And then come up. Straighten out. Change sides. Left knee comes up. The heel a bit wide. Toes in. Careful placement. And then scoot forward so you get even closer. And you come up tall and go forward, catch the foot directly, no assistance with the hands on the shin. So your foot, shin, thigh, hip have to take care of themselves. Push through that inner foot. Sit back on the heel. That's what's going to send your shin back. Put that buttock down. Okay. Work hard at that. And if you run into painful resistance, again, be awareness of your position and condition, and proceed with, I guess, more respect, observation, patience. Come up. Stretch both legs. Now, there's this usefulness of a thinness of blanket. I'm making this pretty thin.
Devon, I have a question.
Yes.
When you're going forward in this position,
yes,
you have to have one line on your shoulders. Should be
you want, yes, in this pose, in its fullest expression, the asymmetry of the hips, and I'm doing the wrapping, doesn't influence the trunk.
Okay.
So if you're looking, this part of the, here. So these two parts of the low back should travel together instead of crookedly. They should travel together. These ribs should, the hands obscure it, but the trunk needs to move as it does in Paschimottanasana.
Okay.
So it gets dragged a bit, and that's why we spend so much time here. That's why we spend time here. We're trying to organize this side of the pose to be able to come all the way into a symmetrical forward bend. Take more blankets, it'll help.
Okay.
We did both sides, yes? Now we have to change pose. Okay, watch. You can sit higher if this movement close to the hips is very difficult. By all means, sit higher. Look, I have a strap. Everybody, get a strap. Open it up to a big loop. Hold the buckle, the metal buckle, in your right hand. Okay, so I'm just holding it in my right hand. So the open loop is free. Watch, that loop goes underneath my left leg. Do that. Please do this. Go with me. The strap, the right leg, the strap goes underneath your right leg. And you see how I'm holding the loop end on the inside of the right thigh. The metal buckle end goes over the top and it goes through that loop. Right thigh. Now, that turns into a strap that can move my thigh. You feel? I pull on that cinches itself tight and rolls my thigh. Anybody confused? Okay. So I have this strap tail hanging free. Bend the right leg, straighten the left leg, same position as before. That slightly wide stance, heel down, toes in. Draw the trunk up, sit the buttock down, and I'm turning toward this leg. And I catch that strap. And I pull on that strap. And it helps sit my buttock down, open the hip, and it lets me turn. Pull on that strap with your left hand wrapped around your right shin. Watch what's happening in your right foot. Some of you, the right toes are turned out. Get the heel out and stand on the inner foot. Okay? Those who are turning well, feel free to cross over, but you can still catch that strap. You just go to the outside and still pull on that strap. And it just brings a bit more of your chest around. So this pull is keeping your pelvis square and level. It's not getting your sacrum and even the lumbars. It's keeping the lumbar stable in this twist. Come out, change sides. I hope this is comfy, Karen, on that hip. Okay. So just to recap how this strap goes, the open loop is now in your right hand and the buckle is in your left hand, right hand. The buckle in your left hand goes underneath the left thigh and the loop comes over the top and under. I probably have my sides crossed. I beg your pardon. Is anybody confused?
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm doing it right. So the strap pulls an external rotation. If you feel that, that's the whole point of this. It's pulling, it's spinning your thigh from front thigh in to out. Yeah, that's how it should feel. Then that's the leg that folds up Heel out, toes in, sit on that buttock, sit up tall, and then wrap the right arm around and catch the strap with your first hand. I don't know what hand that is anymore because I've changed sides and I'm not doing what I'm saying. Pull that outer thigh. So you sit, the left leg is the bent leg. This I know for you. Pull that strap down and away from your waist. And lift your trunk up, roll away from it. And if you will cross over, please do, and still pull, push on that strap. The ribs need to be far enough around for that to make sense, but it's a very nice turn. That trunk really comes around nicely. Watch your straight leg, point it straight, toes up, heel down. Good, come out. Now you got 3 minutes to finish class. We went over a little bit there, so take 2 flat blankets. Blankets folded as they would be for shoulder stand, and lay them one on top of the other. So if there is a long side to this setup, put the long side parallel to your sticky mat. So I have 2 blankets, and I'm going to lie upon them with my whole spine. And then I wiggle back till only my top shoulders come to the floor. The lower shoulder blade is levered up still on the blanket, but the top shoulder blade is down. And I did a little fussing there to make sure my shirt collar is loose and not binding the neck. At first, the knees are bent. And as you see that the upper body is well settled, stretch your legs out. And you take this mild chest elevated Shavasana. Top shoulders down, bottom shoulders and chest elevated. Now, in a minute or two, I will need to leave this room to go to my next appointment, but I would be so happy if you could take your full Shavasana and rest yourself completely. So I say my namaskar to you. And I leave you in peace.